Hi, I'm Sean Carnegie, Radioville's Managing Director, and thanks for joining me for this session on creating an effective radio commercial. So a little bit about Radioville. We're an audio creative agency that specializes in helping brands raise their awareness and gain more customers through the power of digital audio and radio advertising. In fact, one of our old clients, the Car Phone Warehouse, was a brand built on radio because when they first started to advertise, they didn't have the budgets to do TV, so all they did was radio, and they were able to grow their business from just a handful of stores to hundreds within a few short years. Over the years, we've been fortunate enough to work with some other great brands such as Peloton, Avon, Wagamama Autoglass, Pizza Express, Screwfix, to name a few. And what's great about radio is that with a very little amount of resource, which is unlike other advertising channels, with just a little bit of resource, you can get your message out to millions and thousands and millions of people. All you need is an idea, somewhere to record, and someone to voice the commercial. And the beauty of radio is that when someone hears your commercial, they create their own visual interpretation in their mind, and therefore they create something that's more personally relevant. And it's that personal relevance that is one of the key factors at driving information into people's long-term memory. And as businesses and brands, being in people's long-term memory is where we want to be. So there's a few things, a few principles that when followed tend to lead to more effective radio commercials. So we're gonna go through a few of those today. So you've probably heard this before, but when I say brief, I mean the document that summarizes the messages that you want to communicate in your commercial. And when you're writing your brief, make sure you have a well-considered and honest articulation of your proposition. And to do that, the thing to do is to identify what your brand's truth is and embrace it and leverage that. Because by doing that, you'll really resonate with your target audience in an authentic way. You just need to look at the likes of Marmite and Guinness as two brands that have done that incredibly well. In the case of Guinness, they've really leveraged the fact that it takes ages for their drinks to be ready. And in the case of Marmite, that half the population thinks their product tastes absolutely disgusting. So what they've done there, by celebrating those truths, they found a way to resonate with people in an authentic way. So when writing your brief, try and identify what's your brand's truth. And every brand has got a truth, or multiple truths. So find what your brand's truth is and leverage that. And also be mindful not to overload your commercial with too many messages. Think of them as balls being thrown at someone. If you want them to be caught, you're better off throwing them one at a time. If you bombard the radio listener with too many messages in any one commercial, the likelihood is they'll come away from the commercial not remembering any. If you've got loads of product benefits and reasons to believe and reasons why they should trust your brand or go to your brand, spread them out over multiple commercials rather than filling them all into one commercial. And I know this might sound like a bit of a silly thing to say, a radio ad is not a print ad, but I think because a radio commercial starts life out on a page, there can be a tendency to forget that it ultimately ends up in people's ears. So what looks good on paper doesn't necessarily sound as you intended. That's why it's so important when appraising your radio creative that you hear it out loud and that you don't just simply read it to yourself on the page. In fact, when we're presenting new work to our clients, we always insist on performing it to them so that they can hear the pace, the rhythm, the tone, the nuance that you can't always get from just looking at the words on a page. And also by reading out loud, it reminds everyone of how much you can say comfortably in a given amount of time. And it's often a little less than you might think. And it's also remembering that a majority of our target audience don't actually care about our brands. They may care about a problem our product or service solves for them, but they don't really care about our brands themselves. So we need to give them a reason to care. We need to respect them in our communication. build a rapport with them, resonate with them, show them that we hear them. Yeah, that's true of all marketing and advertising, but I think it's even more true of radio. And I think that's primarily because of the special relationship that people have with their radio station. And we don't get people to care about our brands if all our advertising does is simply list product benefits. We need to connect with people on an emotional level. Radio is such an emotional medium, so it's important that we connect with people on an emotional, not just rational level. And I think by doing that, and when I say emotional level, I don't mean we need to tug at heartstrings all of the time. I mean, we just need to sound human. So you find a way to bring your product benefits to life. So for example, if your product saves people time, talk about the fun things they'll be able to do with the extra time they now have as a result of using your product. We get people to care about our brands by being, by educating, by being entertaining, and by showing empathy. And this next commercial, or this commercial, is a good example of that. Have a listen to this.
British people who fist bump. That guy who stops at the top of the escalator to check his phone. Public FaceTimers. People who say, amazing. That guy on Twitter who ends every tweet with, let that sink in. Bartenders who call themselves mixologists. New mums on Facebook, #blessed. Gym bros, bike bros, coffee bros, just bros. Instagram couples, lifestyle gurus. That teacher you had, you know the one. Your ex. Your ex's new partner. All your ex's new partner's friends. The world is already full of pricks. So we made a glucose monitoring system for diabetics that doesn't have any. The Dexcom G6. No needles, no pricks.
Okay, so that wasn't one of our commercials, so it's okay for me to say that is absolutely one of my favorite all-time commercials. What's so great about that commercial is that the product's proposition is at the heart of the creative idea. So when appraising your commercial, ask yourself the question, could another business or brand put their name on the commercial? And if the answer is yes, change it so that's not the case. And this next commercial that I'm going to share with you is an example, a good example of a brand just sounding human. And anyone who's been in a loving, long-term relationship with a partner will appreciate the scenario in this commercial.
Ready to go, love? Wow, you look amazing.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing. You look amazing, that's all.
Oh, there's a note of surprise in your voice, like, normally I look terrible.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, there was.
Completely restyled and with the latest Ford Sync technology, the all-new Ford Focus looks amazing.
I'm sorry. I take it back?
Which bit?
You do look amazing, but it's not a surprise.
Okay.
The all-new Ford Focus 1-litre EcoBoost from only $14,995 on Ford Options Finance at Jennings Ford. Representative APR 4.3%.
Yeah, there's an authenticity in that commercial that a lot of people will resonate with. And in order to sell, we need to connect with people. And radio is a great way of connecting with people. Okay, so when I say tactical, I mean a commercial that you're trying to drive an immediate response, like you've got sales to make. So when you've got a tactical commercial, that should not be an excuse to be boring. We once had a marketing director in a briefing session say to us, oh, we don't have any time for creativity in this commercial, we just need to sell units. As if achieving sales targets and creating engaging marketing are mutually exclusive. They're definitely not. I would go as far as to say it's the creativity that sells. Yeah, the creative idea should never be irrelevant or, gratuitous, but in order to be remembered, in order to be considered, we need to be remembered. And we don't want to be remembered for being dry and boring. And I'm going to share with you a tactical commercial which is anything but boring.
You take the Cadbury Pots of Joy chilled dessert from the fridge. You anticipate the taste of the real melted Cadbury milk chocolate just begging you to peel back the lid. Then you remember... You're still in the supermarket. Cadbury Pots of Joy chilled desserts. Cadbury Dairy Milk, Cadbury Caramel, and right now special spooky Cadbury Scream Egg for Halloween. Just £1 in selected Tesco's, subject to availability. Free the joy!
Yeah, so there's a sales commercial, effectively, that was still able to engender an emotional connection with the listener. Okay, and this last point I wanted to make before I wrap up is that the media and the creative need to work hand in hand. And when I say the media, I'm talking about the airtime that you buy, and the creative is the commercial itself, the script. Because what you don't want to do is, because you don't know what the best spot length, the best length of your commercial is, until you know exactly what it is you want to say and how you want to say it. Because the danger of committing to a spot length before you've battened down the creative is that, you know, your optimum spot length for your proposition might be 20 seconds. But if you've already committed to 30 seconds, you spent more money on the airtime than you needed to. But the opposite is true. If the best way to articulate in a really engaging way your proposition requires 40 seconds and you've committed to 30 seconds, you're not giving yourself the fair crack of the whip, because you'll be shoehorning what should be 40 seconds into 30 seconds, and therefore compromising the communication and therefore leading to a less effective commercial. So wait until you know what the script looks like before committing to the media. Okay, so in summary, get the brief right. You know, find your brand's truth and embrace it. Remember, an audio ad is not a print ad. Don't overload it with 2 messages, and don't try and ram as many words as you can onto the page. Connect with people on an emotional level, not just rational level. You know, think of your listener as friends you haven't met yet. And show your tacticals, those commercials that you want to get an immediate effect from. Show them the love, because more creatively engaging commercials are more effective than dull ones. And as I've just said, make sure you develop the media strategy alongside the creative, because you don't know how long your commercial should be until you know what it is you want to say and how you want to say it. And finally, enjoy yourself, because making radio commercials is a hell of a lot less stressful than making TV commercials, but when done well, they're just as effective. And radio is more emotionally engaging than banner ads and print ads. So thanks for listening, and I wish you all the best for your next audio campaign.